All right, seems like we are live here. Welcome to the Football Friends podcast for another week. It's your boy Gage here, coming at you with a solo Football Friends podcast. Unfortunately, Paddy cannot make it today, and Ash will be having a couple of weeks off because he is having, well, not his partner is having a mini Ash, so he deserves a few weeks off in order to deal with all that. All right. Well, just let me get set up here. I'm just gonna probably play some. Okay, I'm just gonna hit that. All right. Looks like, what am I doing here? Okay, that's all good. That's sussed. Now, okay. Yeah, I might just play a little Football Manager while we're doing this, just to keep it interesting. The first thing to talk about here, of course, is New Zealand have been eliminated from their World Cup qualifier. It was the last match they needed to play in order to qualify for the World Cup, and unfortunately they lost to Costa Rica. And I'm not sure how this came across in foreign media and stuff like that, but New Zealand were very, very cut about this, very unhappy with the refereeing. There seemed to be a few contentious moments in the game. Of course, Costa Rica scored after in the third minute or so. That wasn't particularly contentious. That was just sort of switched off. That was kind of really bad to go down really fast. But after that, the boys put on a hell of a shift and wanted to make up for it. But yeah, it didn't seem to quite be enough. They did manage to score. And first happened was there was a penalty shout where Chris Wood was bundled over in the box, and the ref called no penalty. And it's hard to say. It did kind of look like Wood maybe went down a little bit easy, but he was already sort of off balance, so it wouldn't have taken much of a shove to push him over. He was in front of the man. The Costa Rican player shoved him from behind. Another ref probably would have given a penalty on that one. So, but unlucky there. And then about a minute or two later, they Chris Wood did manage to score, but in the lead up to it, there was a clash between a New Zealand player and a Costa Rican player, and I would say that this moment was a lot more contentious because of this challenge. The goal was ultimately ruled out and given the way of Costa Rica, which was a little bit ridiculous because eventually it was given for the New Zealand player having his arm wrapped around the Costa Rican player's leg after he was fouled, I guess, and they sort of both went to the ground, and then he got up and gave the cross to the assisted the goal. So it's kind of the thing, like even if it's no goal, how is it not a foul against New Zealand? And then it should be play on, because the Costa Rican player just completely comes in from behind and just absolutely bundles over the New Zealand player, and then it's it's hard to. The arm probably was intentional. I will say that. So, but it's hard to know. In that kind of scenario, you've got to call that a 50-50. They both were wrong, and then so play on. There were plenty other calls in this game that were dodgy, and the ref called play on. So I don't know, kind of annoying, that one. Not really very happy with that. So yeah, that was probably the most contentious moment. New Zealand did score, and then it was taken away, and I'm pretty disappointed about that. Legal, okay. Yeah, that was really disappointing. So, and then the game played on. New Zealand seemed to dominate this game. I think they had upwards of 60% possession. Costa Rica was certainly not at their best. Costa Rica is supposed to be rated the 31 in the world the world rankings of football teams, and then New Zealand's 101. So it certainly didn't seem that way to me. It seemed like New Zealand dominated this game and probably deserved to win. Have not looked up the XG scores actually, um, but I imagine they probably go in favour of New Zealand. We had a lot of chances. Chris Wood played really well. Was really unlucky not to score, to be honest. And yeah, real shame, real shame. And because of this, oh well, okay, so no, that's right. And then later on, in the second half, there was a red card. Kostas Barbarouses, who is a New Zealand favourite, has been for a long time. He went in. He went in for a late challenge, kind of studs up, and earned himself a red card. It was originally a yellow, but then upon VAR inspection, it was upgraded to a red. And I would say that this was definitely a red. It did look like a red card to me. You could possibly say it was accidental or something like that, but he came in. It ended up being studs up straight into the guy's ankle. It was pretty rough. So kind of got to give that one a red. And then the only sort of complaint after that was there was a very similar challenge from the number 7 player from Costa Rica on Winston Reid, our captain. He sort of basically did exactly the same thing, and then that was immediately a yellow. But I suppose that is somewhat consistent. The ref did give a yellow originally to Barbarouses, and it wasn't until he checked on VAR that it became a red. So yeah, kind of sucky reffing, but look, that happens. Reffing is shitty in football all the time. It's just what happens. And it's a shame we don't get to go to the World Cup, but it would have been into a super tough group, and we'd kind of just be there for just sort of to support the country and stuff like that. So not a major, no, no, it is no, I take it back. It is a disappointment. It is a very disappointing. Would very much like to see us in the World Cup, but I just guess it just wasn't meant to be. Everything was kind of against us, so oh well. Um, yeah, okay, so yeah, so then it just came down to that one goal, which was scored after 3 minutes, and then we sort of dominated for 90, but then couldn't score, and that sort of cost us. It would have been, even if we had have scored one right at the end, we would have had to play extra time with 10 men. Even when we went down to 10, the boys still put in a hell of a shift and played with a lot of spirit. So, I'm fully commendable for that. They played about as hard as they could, but just ultimately they weren't able to get it over the line, It was a bit of a shame. Oh, this guy's pretty good. Let's give him another scout. So, yes, that's very good too. Scout Diallo. Let's keep scouting. Scouting. Yeah, so disappointed not to go, but oh, what can you do? Now, the next qualifier I'll talk. Well, there was only one other qualifier that needed to be done, and that was Australia, who played Peru, and they actually managed to go. They went all the way to extra time and to penalties, and then ultimately, they did. They won on penalties from from quite the display from a goalkeeper who was subbed on named Andrew Redmayne, and I believe that it was only his third appearance for Australia. I don't know too much about this guy. I hadn't really heard much of him before, and he he in classic Aussie fashion, just total shithousery. He, for the last penalty, he sort of does this crazy little dance, like kind of just to put off the opponent, like a taunt almost, and ultimately it works. And and the Peruvian penalty taker missed, and then he goes nuts, and for this unorthodox approach, to saving penalties and stuff, he's been labelled the Grey Wiggle because at the time he was wearing a grey goalkeeper's kit, and if you don't know, there's this Australian band. Well, it's a band for children, as like a children's TV show, and they sing these songs, and they're called the Wiggles, and they each wear a color. There's like a red wiggle, a purple wiggle, and so on. And yeah, so he's earned the label the Grey Wiggle, which is very hilarious, and pretty awesome to yeah, it's good at least Australia to qualify and eliminate Peru. Peru's a good team, so quite tough. I think Australia were probably the underdogs in that match as well. Peru is usually the team that eliminates New Zealand, to be honest. So kind of happy to see Peru go not make it this time, even if it is Australia. As much as we don't like them, but I'd say that they probably deserved it. After that, that's hilarious. That's what you, that's in classic Aussie fashion. That's so funny. Um, so yeah, Redmayne. I guess he's a penalty specialist because he was subbed on as well for the first choice goalkeeper, which is Matthew Ryan, who has played in the Premier League and so on. And I guess he plays for Sydney FC from what I'm reading here. So yeah, all credit to Andrew Redmayne. That's hilarious. That's that was so funny. That's what a way to win in style. Like that's yeah, that's a good way to do it. Like it doesn't get any more Australian than that. Okay, so now moving on. The next topic I have here was just to talk about some of the various matches, international sort of matches we've had in this international break, and yeah, it would have been nice to have Paddy here. Obviously, he has the British perspective for this podcast, and unfortunately, of course, England have had. From what I understand, their worst home loss in years. It's in decades. That they played Hungary and they lost 4-0. They got absolutely drubbed. And South Gareth Southgate, the manager of England, is under a lot of pressure because of this. Because in this international break, they have not played very well. They failed to win a single of the four Nations League games they played. And they played Hungary, Italy, and Germany. Admittedly, some tough. Well, Italy and Germany are tough. They played Hungary twice, and then lost 4-0 in the second leg, and yeah, and they got absolutely done. They just kind of looked like they didn't look like they really had much of a chance in that game. They were sort of just yeah, but kind of lame in that one. Um, so yeah, that's there's a lot of talk now about whether or not Gareth Southgate should stay on because we have well the World Cup is not actually that far away. It's going to be a mid-season World Cup actually because it's in Qatar, so they want to do it in sort of like the colder months of Qatar because that's obviously like a desert kind of country where it's super hot all the time, and all the stadiums going to be air conditioned and so on. But yeah, so I mean, if England are going to change their manager, they got to do it soon because it's not really that far away. It's only 6 months, and you really you need to decide on a style and all sorts of things. The the team has significantly changed a lot under Southgate. When you look at the sort of teams that they had for the last World Cup in Russia, it's a lot. It's a lot of different players and a lot of actually a lot of really good players have come through. So it's quite surprising that Southgate has better players at his disposal, but then for some reason these results aren't coming through. And yeah, so it's yeah, a lot of people are calling for Southgate's head, but he's been in charge for such a long time now. I think it would be crazy if they, if they thought about axing Southgate here, because it's just it's too late. It's the World Cup's 6 months away. Oh, it's not even. It's in November, I'm pretty sure. So it's not even 6 months away, and yeah, they can't. It's too late. But they're gonna have to sort something out, or they're gonna get absolutely dropped. And this is the team that they made it to the finals of the Euros, and could have won that match. It came down to penalties, and that's it's you should expect a little bit better right after that. That's pretty bad. So um right, this is the stat I was looking for here. It says that this is the first they haven't conceded 4 goals in a home game since November 1953. That's good, 60 odd years. They haven't conceded 4 goals because, well, they say that it was at home. I mean, it was played in England, yes, but it wasn't at the England's home stadium, wasn't it? It wasn't at Wembley. It was in the Molineux Stadium, which is in Wolverhampton, so that's where the Wolves play. But they'll consider that a home game, I guess. um, but to be fair, like, they played a bit of a weird side. I mean, I'm pretty sure they had, yeah, that it wasn't there was a few changes in that team, and it just ultimately didn't work. So, but a 4-0 defeat is pretty bad. You expect a lot more from these kind of players. They are all a lot of damn good players in this team, and yeah. So yeah, they lost to Hungary twice in this international break. And oh man, that's crazy. They've now gone 360 minutes without scoring a goal from open play. Oh, that's really not good. They only scored. Yeah, okay. So that's just shocking. That's really bad. That's really disappointing for England. They need to do a lot better than that. And okay, so next up, I'm gonna talk. Oh yeah, I just wanted to talk about. I wanted to talk about the Netherlands because I felt like they had a particularly good international window here. Sorry, yeah, in the Nations League and stuff, they played really well from what I saw. It seemed to a lot of good performances from Frankie de Jong and players like that. So they had a 4-1 win over Belgium, a 2-1 win over Wales, and a 2-2 draw with Poland, and then a 3-2 win over Wales again. And this is great, man. And it seems like Frankie de Jong has been kind of running the show in this, which is good to see. I like Frankie de Jong; he's a very good player, and yeah, they seem to be sharing the goals around, which I like seeing. So that's good. It's good to see Netherlands doing a lot better. In recent years, Netherlands have struggled quite a lot, and yeah. So it's always nice to see, yeah, the Netherlands doing better and improving. So other than that, though, what other results have there been? Um, yeah, yeah. Netherlands seem to have a lot of good young players kind of coming through and stuff like that, and so hopefully this is a good turnaround, and that's yeah. And it's been kind of sad to be both a Man U fan and a Netherlands fan over the last 5 years or so. It's been very kind of depressing in that way, because both teams have sort of struggled. Yeah, Germany beat Italy 5-2 recently. Germany are looking pretty pumped up. They've got a lot of good players. They're probably looking really good for the World Cup. And yeah, France been struggling a little bit, not quite. France are the current champions, so probably expect a little more from them. But yeah, anyway, that's sort of all I really want to talk about in the international break. I didn't really I didn't really watch too many matches in this sort of break. It's more of a club football kind of guy. It's kind of more what I prefer to watch. So a bit harder to sort of stream these games and stuff like that. Well, stuff. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So now I'll move on to, well, which I think is going to be the main kind of segment, I guess here. The big thing, all these transfers, right? We're deep in the transfer window. Oh, sorry, I'll just get through this. Oh, okay, Jesus, Thomas Tuchel has been fired. That's good for us. Yes, we can build on this from Lukaku. Oh, yeah, Lukaku, God. Bigger players, yeah, yeah, yes, good player for us. Place a comment. How pleased are you? Oh, yes. Timo Livramento has just been absolutely outstanding for Southampton. Worth about 100 mil now. Okay. Anyway, so the biggest transfer, of course, that has been announced, but we've all known about it for quite a while, but we've seen the official announcement now. Erling Haaland has transferred to Manchester City. Now, this is a absolutely terrifying move in my eyes. Of course, there was a lot of speculation that Haaland may come to Manchester United, but I never really bought into that. They were saying it was because of Ollie. They have that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. They have history together. Ollie coached him when he was at Molde in Norway. But after Erling Haaland's father is Alpha Inge, and he played for City in the past. So, and I think even he was his career was ended by a Manchester United player, and from a horrific tackle and things like that. So it just never seemed plausible to me. I always thought Erling Haaland would have City in his eyes, to take after his father and so on. And yeah, this is terrifying. I mean, Manchester City were able to. They won the league without even having a number nine. Oh, that's a shame. Yeah, they won the league without a number nine, and now they have possibly one of the best number nines in the world. Unbelievable finisher, and just young player, and they even got a good price for him and all this stuff. So it's pretty crazy. That's really scary. Not looking forward to versing City. It'll probably be crazy, but I suppose the only sort of negative on their part is that Manchester City are a very passing oriented team. They want their strikers to drop deep and do passes and all those kind of things, and that is probably the weakest aspect of Erling Haaland's game. He's more of just a receive the ball, shoot kind of striker. Kind of reminds me of Ibrahimovic in that way, and but he's so young. I'm sure he probably looks up to Pep. Pep is a hell of a coach. If anyone can get that out of him, it's going to be Pep Guardiola. Like he's probably the best coach in the world at the moment. At least maybe tied with Jurgen Klopp's hard to say. But so absolutely horrified with this. Not keen. That's yeah. It's going to be quite a while before the Manchester United end up on the positive side of the Manchester derby. I think it's kind of they keep growing. They have every resource behind them. They're signing all the players. They have the best. They're the best coach. Everything. So yeah, I don't know. That's that. Yeah, a real tough one with Manchester City. That's for sure. So moving on. So yeah, Haaland has left from Dortmund, where he had a very successful spell there as well, and so they've now replaced him with this young guy, Adeyemi, who I think they brought him in from Salzburg or something like that. And this is another player they may have just signed the next, well, not the next Erling Haaland, but like Dortmund just seem to have it completely on the money with identifying who's gonna who's going to develop and, you know, make them a ton of money. And I think that's exactly like what this player they've signed is, because I mean, again, I don't watch a tremendous amount of Salzburg football, but like this guy gets absolutely insane on Football Manager and FIFA and stuff like that, and it's, you know, this is just going to be another high potential player that, you know, could just, you know, they'll sell him in a season or two and make a packet on him. So that's annoying, but that's classic Dortmund, I guess. Okay, so I'll just get this away. Oh yeah, how should I do this? Roger can't play because I'm playing Chelsea. I think I do this. Okay, I can get kick in there and 25. Okay, Walker Peters and I'll take Larry out for. All right, so this is probably my best teams. Okay, I think that's gonna have to do. Now, yeah, it's like good group after that. Yeah, okay. Now playing Chelsea, this is gonna be tough. So you may witness me getting absolutely drubbed by Chelsea in the background, but we'll see what happens. They don't have a manager, so good time to verse them. So yeah, go out and smash these guys. um, you want me to? Yes. Okay. Okay. All right. So the next one I want to talk about here is Real Madrid have signed a player, Aurelien Tchouameni, who is a French midfielder that plays for Monaco, and well, I mean, he plays for the France national team as well, alongside Pogba and Kante and all this stuff. And this is a player that I've been following for, oh, sorry, for quite a while now. And, you know, really good player, just, you know, great midfielder, can do it all, just robust, strong, everything. Like, so I think, you know, Real Madrid have done an amazing thing here and signed. Oh, what the fuck was that? Come on, Kante never scores. That's so bullshit. In typical. But like, and so yeah, Madrid have managed to sign another, like a second young French midfielder. You know, they've only just they signed Camavinga just before, and now they've picked up the next one. Like they're gonna have, so basically they're gonna have these two young. They're both only about 20, 21 years old apiece, each of them. Probably going to be mainstays for France for the next while. So that, you know, and both of them play for Real Madrid together. That's going to be crazy. Like what? How does that? That's. But I mean, you know, Real Madrid have paid a hell of a lot for this guy. They literally paid 100 million euros for Tchouameni, and you know, it's probably still worth it. You know, he's that good of a player, and yeah, oh, that's just crazy to me. Like, yeah, 100 mil, like, God, just the fact that, you know, they can just spend their money like that. I suppose, you know, this is the team that just won the Champions League, and then you know, they seem to be start with their veterans and then they sub on all the young guys. So then all these young guys are getting like a wealth of experience at like the highest level. And then they're going to add this guy's an absolute beast. That midfield's going to be crazy when it's like, you know, we see the end of Modric and Toni Kroos and Casemiro, and they can pass all that knowledge down onto these two young French guys with just packets and packets of potential. So, yep, killer signing for Madrid there. Yeah, a bit on the expensive side, 100 mil, but you know, what are you going to do? Come on, yes! Oh, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah, the boys. Keep it up. Oh, I knew I should start. I knew I should start. Sure, the Armstrongs, yeah. Both Armstrongs. So yeah, left arm and the right arm both strong. That's what you want, right? Okay, so Next one, oh yeah, and how have I not talked about this one already? Is oh, I almost got another one. Is Liverpool have signed Darwin Nunes, who who is a another amazing striker who was playing for, I want to say, Benfica, and for the last season, and he scored what is it, 20 odd goals in 20 odd games or something like that. Some great amazing numbers. And yeah, this is City have gotten Haaland, and then Liverpool have probably gotten the second hottest striker around at the moment. Let me just deal with this. Yeah, let's do it, boys. Come on. It's Chelsea. Fuck Chelsea. We can win this game. Okay. So, yeah, Liverpool have signed Darwin Nunes. And, disappointed because obviously Manchester United were trying to sign him too. But look, if you're Darwin Nunes, who are you going to choose? Are you going to choose like Liverpool, who basically have this insane team at the moment, incredibly good manager? And, I'll talk about this next, but, Mane's probably is going to leave. It looks like it's a pretty set in stone at this point. So there's even a slot sort of opening up for him. So it's not like he's going to be coming to ride the bench. And I mean, it would be pretty ridiculous to pay what they did and have the players sit on the bench, because they paid, I think it was 80 million euros up front with 20 million in add-ons. So, originally, I think they said they didn't want to pay any more than 85. So then in a way they're sort of doing this, they're paying 80, but then with the add-ons, which I think are pretty basic ones, just appearances and all that. So it's going to end up being 100 mil. This is actually an extremely expensive signing for Liverpool. They usually try to avoid these kind of deals. They like to try and make money on their players as well. But lately, they're only signing one or so players per window, so they're willing to sort of pay this big fee, I guess. So that, yeah, but disappointing. The two strongest teams in England at the moment have now just completely beefed up their attacking arsenal with. I mean, they already have insane both teams already have insane front lines, and now it's just that little bit more insane. And oh, for fuck's sake. So I do it, what the fuck? Oh, sorry. I just need to do a sub here. So let's take off. We're going to take them for. Don't really have much choice here. Yes, now played great in the last game, so let's go. Come on, boys, we can do this. I'll take a draw against Chelsea. I don't want to lose. Okay, so. Oh, sorry. See a drink. Okay, so yeah, so I sort of alluded to that before. The other part of this deal is that Mane is going to be leaving Liverpool, and it's looking like he will go to Bayern Munich at this point, because they want to recoup some of this big fee. They've already paid. They paid quite a lot for Darwin Nunes, but then they're probably going to get. I think they're holding out for about 50 million euros or so for Mane, which I think he's absolutely worth. And Bayern Munich, they can afford it, that's for sure. So, but yeah, Mane to Bayern, that's another pretty crazy move. They have some seriously good players. I think they are releasing Kingsley Coman, but you add Mane into there, you got they're going to have Mane and Sane. That's kind of cool. That's pretty funny. And then of course they're going to lose Lewandowski as well. It's looking like they're going to lose Lewandowski too, but I'll talk about that later. So Mane to Bayern, and that's after Bayern have actually they've already made two really good signings, in my opinion. The first one, well, they're both players from Ajax actually, so sort of rating Ajax for all their players. The first one was Mazarawi, the fullback from Ajax, and sorry, I'll just do this. Oh, what the fuck am I do here? Okay, never mind. Let's do this. Because it's your old club. Do some damage. Come on, boy. Come on, we can win this. Or we're going to get a draw. I'll take a draw. So yeah, they've already signed. Yeah, Mazarawi was the first signing, who was the right back, wing back, and this is an extremely good player. Played incredibly well under Ten Hag at Ajax. He's just the perfect modern fullback. Just storms forward all the time. Sort of so much energy, good crossing, all that stuff. So excellent for Bayern. That's a great signing. And the second one was also an Ajax player, and that's Ryan Gravenberch, who. Oh, sorry, I should just mention that Mezzaro was a free transfer. That was end of contract, so what a great pickup. Can't go wrong with that. What a deal. And yeah, Ryan Gravenberch, who they've signed for 18.5 mil, which in my opinion is another absolute bargain. Oh, thank God. He seems to be like a bit of an all-rounder. I'm not really sure what his best position is. He's played like sort of defensive midfield, defender, kind of. Well, it seems like midfield somewhere, but to yet be determined. But I suppose he might be in there to replace the midfielder that they've released, who is I'm blanking on it right now. He's French. It'll come back to me later. But yeah, so they've just let a midfielder go. So we may see him in there, but I mean it's going to be pretty hard to take. To take either Kimmich or Goretzka out of that midfield too. So, but he's such a young guy and so much potential. This Ajax team, there's so many players in that Ajax team like that. And oh fuck, come on, fucking Reece James, what a douche. So disappointed for this. Suppose they played better, but whatever. It's fucking Chelsea. Kind of annoyed that Manchester United didn't go for Gravenberch. That could have been a good player for us too. But yeah, 18.5 mil. What a bargain! He's another Dutch player with just tons of potential, and yeah, lucky, very lucky. Well, who wouldn't want to? Who wouldn't want to join Bayern? I think they are still rated as like one of the strongest team in Europe or something like that, and certainly a strong contender for the next Champions League and stuff like that. Yeah, whatever. Disappointed. Let's just, whatever. I don't want to talk to anyone about that. So yeah, and the problem with this, okay, the issue I have here is that they've signed two Ajax players, and from what I understand, Man U did Ten Hag, the new manager of Man U, apparently has a gentleman's agreement with Ajax that he is not going to raid Ajax for all of their good players. And since Bayern have already managed to sign two of them, I think this is actually putting a lot of pressure on it's making Ajax not want to sell anyone else, because we've been looking at their player, two of their players actually, Jurien Timber in particular, who was a centre back, or he could also play right back, and I have a bad feeling that because of Bayern Munich, already signing two of Ajax's good players, they're gonna be trying to convince Timber to stay, because they can't just sell the whole team. I mean, Ajax is such an impressive team. This is Ajax is my family's team. In fact, my I have family members that actually work for the club and things like that back in Amsterdam and stuff like that. So, a team I want to see do well as well, and they do have this reputation, much like Dortmund, of sort of youth development, and they have had some seriously impressive squads over the years, and they always do sell a lot of players and somehow bounce back. But I don't know if you can do that when you sell 4 or 5 of these players. So because of this, I actually think that this Timber deal is going to fall through. He has said that he'd be happy to play for Manchester United. But now I think that the Ajax staff are probably going to convince him to stay. And it seemed like a good fit. We needed a centre back. He's young, and a fullback and a right back. To be honest, he's young. He's fast, modern defender in all those ways. And oh shit, 4 to 5 months. That sucks. Oh damn. Yeah, so really disappointed to miss out. I mean, one thing about it is he's only 5'10", which only, yeah, that's which is that's quite short for a centre back. Usually it's 6 foot. You got to be 6 foot or bigger, but he does have good good jumping height and things like that. But even then, that's a little bit on the short side, and it's an incredibly physical league. I mean, Ten Hag has absolute faith in the boy, and because obviously he's played under him and all that stuff. So yeah, I don't know, not the end of the world, but it's kind of annoying. That's sort of going to lead into a bit of a rant now, which seems to be I'm getting a bit worried with Manchester United in this transfer window. It's classic Manchester United transfer woes, and as we've seen in recent years, is that we just seem to delay and delay and delay and try to argue over like 5 mil or something for weeks and just delay these transfers. Like there hasn't been, I still don't think there hasn't been a single transfer go through yet. We've been trying to sign De Jong. We've been linked with De Jong and Timber and all these guys and Potoriers and all these heaps of different players, and I haven't seen any progress on anything yet. We're fighting with Barcelona for this fee of De Jong, who, well, honestly, it seems like he doesn't want to leave. He doesn't want to leave Barcelona. But if he does have to leave, it looks like it. He does want to come to Man U to play under Ten Hag, and because he knows what he's like. He knows he's a good coach, and he would be the ultimate fit. I mean, I think De Jong is possibly one of the best sort of players in his position as a deep lying playmaker, midfielder, stuff like that. So he is definitely worth the 80 mil or whatever we pay. But to delay like this is just kind of offensive to me almost. It's kind of unacceptable. Like, and we always do this, and it's because a lot of people are saying this is because of the Glazers, and because they want to take dividends out of the club all the time. They take money out of the club, and they don't put football first. And because of this, we sort of dawdle on these transfers when maybe we should just jump on it. Kind of, if we're arguing over 5-10 mil, whatever, just pay it. Look, Real Madrid weren't afraid to pay 100 mil for Tchouaméni because they know that he's the shit. And we've seen plenty of reason to believe in De Jong, and our new manager believes in him too. And not only are we fucking over the fans and the club and everything, we're fucking over this brand new manager that we've brought in, who was promised to get the players he wants and things like that. And we can't. It's not a good idea to sort of do that to him either. This is a good coach, and if we actually believe in him and give him what he needs, he will actually deliver. And this is a big problem. So now I don't know about this De Jong deal. Even this deal might be off now if we can't agree on a price. And then, because of our delays, we're just missing out on all these other opportunities. We need to be signing. We need to change the transfer strategy. Lately, it has been overpaying for big players. Like, we paid, 90 million pounds for Pogba or something like that. And it's possible that this De Jong deal could be just like that. I mean, De Jong's not a luxury player like that. He sort of likes to just pick out a pass and sort of do all the good stuff, or, do all the simple stuff right. And that's exactly what we need. We need stability. We need a strong, solid midfield with, a good someone who can link up with Bruno Fernandes and stuff like that, and make shit happen. So I would love to see De Jong at the club, but if we fuck around, we're gonna miss out and end up with someone we don't want. We should be fighting for our first choices instead of dawdling on price and then having to settle for our second or third. Because so another player that we're linked with too is Anthony, who's the Brazilian player at Ajax. And like I said earlier, Bayern have already got two players from Ajax. And then if we're going to get Anthony, and then we're trying to get Timber as well, like, them letting go four of their first team players, they're probably not going to do that. So that's probably why we're missing out on Timber. Now, it does seem like Anthony is a little bit more possible, and it's good because he is a left-footed right winger, and certainly something that Manchester United is missing. We have very few left-footed players, and we did just lose, I think we just lost a couple more left-footed players, to be honest. So there's so many right-footed players in the club. We need a left-footed right winger, someone that can play right wing. It's an issue that hasn't been addressed for a long time, and someone like Anthony is very promising. Brazilian, of course, and he's got skills. He can do tricks and stuff like that, and he's young and hungry and all that stuff. And Ten Hag trusts him. Ten Hag knows that he's good, so we've got to buy into that. Anthony would be really good. I mean, it's not like we're getting it's not like we're getting Darwin Nunes, but Anthony is kind of what we need. We need a right winger. We need to address that issue first. And yeah, I would like to see it. That's a good signing. We need something like that. So the other part of this is we're not quite sure what's going to happen with Anthony Martial. So we could, Anthony goes and Anthony comes in, which I'd be fine with, but I'd also kind of like to keep. I think we should keep Anthony Martial at this point. He didn't have the greatest time on loan at Sevilla, but we sort of need him just for we don't actually have a backup striker for Ronaldo. Like, Rashford doesn't really seem to be able to play as a striker necessarily. He's better suited as a left winger, and Martial can play striker. He can play with his back to goal and all that stuff. He scores goals, and at this point we sort of we just need to try and convince him to stay, but it doesn't look like it's going to happen, unfortunately. But well, it sounds like he doesn't want to stay, but I honestly don't know if he will get. I don't know if he'll get a move away, because he's on 250,000 per week at Manchester United, which is a crazy wage for a player who sits on the bench and stuff like that. And to go out on loan at Sevilla, we had to subsidise that wage. And so how many clubs out there are going to pay 250,000 for a player who had, kind of a shit season last year? And we're gonna want to make some kind of a transfer fee. Still probably take a loss on that, and then he's gonna have to take a wage cut. So if he doesn't want to take a wage cut, he's gonna have to stay. And then while he's here, he better play. That's the thing. He better play good. He better put all he's got into it. So that's the thing. We may still have Anthony Martial, but that's not a new player. That's if anyone can get something out of him, maybe Ten Hag is that guy. And him and Rashford both have a tremendous amount to prove this season if they actually want to stay. They need to play. They need to play for the badge. And That's all we ask, you know. We need players with spirit. So, oh, okay. And then so another big question is what's going to happen with Christian Eriksen, because Christian Eriksen is currently available on a free transfer, and you know, he's let his contract expire at Brentford, and he had a good season there, and it seems like he's still got a few years left in him, and you know, Manchester United are another team that are sniffing around, because before he did join Brentford, he was training at Ajax due to when he collapsed on the pitch during the Euros, he had to get a pacemaker put into his chest. And the thing is, that had also happened to Ajax player Daley Blind. He had the same kind of thing. He collapsed on the pitch from a heart issue or something like that, and basically they did the same thing. They put a pacemaker into his chest, so yeah, so he won't die essentially, so his heart can work. And because of that, it just seemed to make sense for Eriksen to go train at Ajax with, you know, another player in a similar condition. And also because Eriksen was a young player that came through Ajax in the past. So he's got history there and all that stuff. So, you know, while he trained at Ajax, he trained under Ten Hag. So again, Ten Hag is going to be fully aware of what Eriksen is capable of. He's seen him train and all that stuff. So it's not like we're taking a huge risk. Our manager would know what he's getting into. And I mean, it's a free transfer, right? And well, that's the thing. I don't think that Eriksen would be considered as like a backup, or like if we miss out on De Jong, we get Eriksen. I don't think it's being looked at like that. However, you know, I would say that the Glazers would probably be interested in that deal. They would say like, oh well, this guy's free. We might as well go for him rather than pay 80 mil for De Jong. But they aren't like for like. Eriksen is probably much more further forward. Ioannis Hadji, okay, yeah, shortlist, but so there was talk that we'd try to go for both, but yeah, which I'd be fine with too. But the only thing with this is I don't know if we necessarily need Eriksen. We don't necessarily need this position, because you know we have Bruno Fernandes, and if we're talking about who is, I mean, if Bruno's playing at his best, he's probably better than Eriksen at his best. We didn't have Bruno didn't have his greatest season last season, but before then, you know, we saw some. Bruno was considered one of the best players in the world. Everyone was kind of jealous of us for a brief moment. So there's good stuff, Tino. And yeah, so we have Bruno, and we have. I suppose you could consider Eriksen to be a replacement for Mata. So if Eriksen's going to come along and sit on the bench and stuff like that, then that's cool. He has played off the right wing and stuff like that, kind of like a right mid for Spurs and things like that. But I don't know if that's going to quite cut it. He'll probably play in the midfield, and that's the thing. He said he would like to play Champions League football again. He seems to enjoy it, but then he did say that it's not essential. And so, but it's hard to know. It's hard to know what he's going to choose because, yeah, he's trained with Ten Hag recently, and that could work out. But then the other offer he has on the table is returning to Tottenham Hotspur, which he played for previously. And then the other part of that is the coach is Antonio Conte at Spurs, who, you know, Eriksen played under at Inter when they won the league. So, you know, this is probably a manager he wants to play for. He likes playing for too. And so that, you know, that's probably I would say that that's more of a more attractive offer for Christian Eriksen. But it's hard to know. It's sort of, yeah, it could go either way. Would happily take him, but the thing is that's not addressing the issues that we have. That's just getting us out something nice, but it's not addressing any of the problems we have in the squad. So, on that note, because on that note, Spurs have done a couple of signings as well. Well, first of all, they managed to sign Ivan Perisic on a free transfer, and I mean this was a player that Manchester United, well, specifically it was a player that Jose Mourinho wanted to go after for quite a while because he sort of believed in him, and oh, and so we sort of missed out on him in the past, and then after that he went on to he played extremely well for Croatia, and they're sort of they've been very good lately internationally and stuff like that. And then he won the league with Inter and all this stuff. They sort of, and he won the league at Bayern Munich and all sorts. So as a player we sort of discounted, and then now Spurs have picked him up, and he's probably still got a few years in him. So that's a really good signing. Especially on a free, why the hell not? Perisic is a good player. And then so the next news has been, it appears that Spurs have agreed a $25 million transfer for Yves Bissouma from Brighton. Now, this is, Yves Bissouma is a midfielder, sort of box-to-box midfielder for Brighton. And that's the thing, look, this is, this is a player that Man U has also been looking at over the years because he's solid midfielder, the kind of player we're looking for. We're looking for two midfielders, one of them holding, one of them sort of playmaker. And he's not necessarily a holding midfielder. I mean, I don't know if he can tackle and all that stuff, but he seems more like a box-to-box in my opinion. And so, it would be a good fit for us. But for Spurs to pick him up for 25 million, that's kind of ridiculous. Like, why the fuck didn't we dive on that? 25 million? This is a player that we could develop, and he has a few good seasons with us, and maybe he's worth 50 million. It's like a fucking no-brainer to me. Like, the fans would have been absolutely stoked if we signed someone like Yves Bissouma. But, now it's looking like he's going to Spurs. And 25 mil sounds really cheap. I mean, he does only have 1 year left on his contract, so that fee is probably about right, like what you'd expect. And I think Spurs are lucky here. They've snaked a signing from us. And then I mean, if they get Eriksen too, like, how shit is that for Man U? Like, that's just embarrassing. Like, every sort of deal we've gone for has sort of failed or fallen through or something like that. That's terrible. Like. What's up with that? Like, I don't know, just a bad look. And okay, so, but the only thing with this, there's only the one thing with Bissouma that I suppose I'm skeptical about is that he in fact has a upcoming court case as well, much like Man United Man United player Mason Greenwood, and I'm not 100%, but I'm just going to look it up actually. I'm not sure if it's for the same kind of reason, but what does it say? Oh no, jeez. Okay, so it is the same thing. Yves Bissouma, his court case, blah 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 blah, detained for alleged sexual assault on October 6. So that's the thing, right? He does have this sort of, he has this court case, which, maybe that's why we decided to stay away. Like, it would be pretty unlucky to pay 25 mil for a player who then gets, ends up in jail or something like that, and then can't play and all that stuff. So possibly Spurs are taking a little bit of a risk here. But, well, I mean, 25 million is not much of a risk. Like, whatever. If you pay 20, it's not like we pay 90 mil for him and then this happens. You're paying 25 mil, and then if this happens, so what? Like, but if he's found innocent, you get a deal. Like, so it's hard to know. I mean, if he did it, obviously, like, he needs to pay the price and everything, but still, that's the only issue. And maybe just yeah, after the Mason Greenwood thing, we're just like, nah, we don't need two players written off for this reason. So yeah, it could definitely be something like that. So I don't know. I'm not super peeved about this one personally. In terms of a player of this profile, I probably prefer someone like Ruben Neves anyway from Wolves. But yeah, so still good signing. If the court case, if that's all good, if that ends up being nothing, then yeah, great signing. Spurs have actually done really well in this window so far. I mean, yeah, they also signed Fraser Forrester. So Fraser Forrester, Perisic, Yves Bissouma, really good so far. And Conte was already doing good things with their players, so he's only adding to it. Their midfield is pretty robust now with Skip, Bissouma, Bentancur, and Højbjerg. That's pretty formidable. Good options there. Okay. Yes. Lack bit of luck. Yeah. One player there's a. Okay, cool. Yeah. So Spurs doing good. Can't argue with that. Now, what haven't I mentioned? Okay, so yeah, the only other thing here that hasn't been mentioned is Barcelona and Lewandowski. So Lewandowski has pretty much said that he wants to leave Bayern Munich, with Barcelona being the team that's lined up for this, I guess. And it's looking like it'll be about 40 mil or so, but Barcelona, appear to be in financial turmoil and things like that. At least that's how it seems. It's hard to know if that's genuine or what. I don't know all the finer details about this, but so if they want Lewandowski, they're probably going to have to sell players like De Jong and stuff like that. They have a pretty formidable midfield already with Gavi and Busquets, Pedri, and they've signed Frank Kessie on a free as well. So very possible that there's no room in there for De Jong, and they can certainly cope without him. So if someone has to go, it's going to be De Jong, especially if they want to sign Lewandowski. But apparently there is. Barcelona have some kind of big announcement that's supposed to happen like today, in the next few hours or something like that. Possibly something to do with their financial situation, but I don't know too much about it. I suppose we'll know more when that happens, but I don't know. It's very possible they could say something like, oh, we've had some kind of investment and now we don't have any financial issues, and that would change everything. So, yeah. But we'll see. Only time will tell, and I do think ultimately he's going to end up there. Now, okay, the last thing I have to talk about here is Florentina Perez, who I believe is he's like the spokesperson for La Liga or something like that. And oh no, so what I'm talking about, he's the president of Real Madrid, and recently they had this sort of controversy with Kylian Mbappe's transfer, and the way the story seems to go is that they'd sort of made a verbal agreement. Kylian Mbappe apparently, told Perez that he loved Real Madrid and that was his dream was to play at Real Madrid and all that kind of stuff, and everything was going on. But then last August, PSG were not willing to sell, and because obviously it's going to be an insane fee and they wouldn't want to pay it. So the idea was that they'd wait a year and let his contract run out. And then now that it has, ultimately Kylian Mbappe turned around and re-signed for PSG. And there was a lot of talk that like he betrayed Real Madrid in this way. But Perez has kind of come out and said like, no, this isn't really the case. It's Perez was happy to sign him when Mbappe was in love with the idea of playing for Real Madrid and all that stuff. That's the kind of players they want. They want players who believe that Real Madrid is the biggest club in the world and stuff like that. And yeah, but that ultimately changed, he says. But basically, it changed in a very short time too, over the period of like, I'm saying 15 days or so. It changed, and part of it was because oh, sorry. He's saying part of it is due to influence of Emmanuel Macron, because apparently Macron actually had a meeting with Mbappe and basically begged him to stay in France, which is crazy. I mean, fair enough. I mean, there's no rule against that or anything, but it seems like ultimately he convinced Mbappe to stay, and so here is sort of saying that this was, yeah, it was more of a political decision than anything, and yeah, so it was a political decision, and of course PSG are probably just willing to pay him an unbelievable sum of money, and yeah, so because of that, Mbappe changed his mind. And so it wasn't really a betrayal, it was just he sort of lost all his kind of interest in it. And, Perez is, and like I said, Perez, he only wants to sign players that dream of playing for Madrid. So there you go. In the end, what can you do? And yeah, so that's the last thing. I think that's the last thing I have here. Yeah, that's all right. Look, well, that's all I wanted to say for Football Friends podcast this week. Of course, it's had to take it on solo this week, so sorry if I'm a bit out of breath. I've been sort of probably talking a little bit too fast. It's usually good to be able to breathe when someone else is talking and stuff like that. But um, hopefully we'll see. Paddy should be back soon. Hopefully next week. Ash is going to take a month or so off, to raise his kiddo and stuff like that. So congratulations, Ash. That's really awesome. I mean, kid's not born yet, but expected any day now. So yeah, awesome stuff. And yeah, thanks for tuning into the Football Friends podcast. I might actually stream for a little bit longer, but yeah, I'm just gonna end the podcast here. So like and subscribe, tell your friends, and I will see you next time. Cheers. Alrighty. Well, I'm still here for the next 10 minutes or so. Um, I might start doing this as well, just after the stream. Play some Football Manager or something like that afterwards. And if Paddy wants to hang around or something, we can just sort of talk about Football Manager and stuff like that. And yeah, so this is going to be a bit more informal. I'll probably clip out the podcast itself. And the live stream's still going to be up, of course, but then I'll clip out the podcast and then maybe even break it down into sections if that's possible. Because, I think I sort of kept everything to a good section this time, so might do some editing in that way. Shoot on site. Okay, let's give that a go then. Yeah, so yeah, if you want to chill for a bit, longer, I'm just going to play Football Manager. Oh yeah, Stuart Armstrong is done ski for the next while. Armstrong played really good in that game, but it looks like it's going to be Pepe. Oh, Pepe was 75 minutes. 45 minutes. I need to get Kyle Walker-Peters fit, to be honest. All right. It's going okay in this career mode. I think I'm currently sitting 7th. Which, it's not ideal. I probably need to be a little bit higher up. Sitting finishing 7th, 6th or 7th or something would be amazing.